All right, so solving proportions in section 5.4 is basically building on what we did in the last section. Nothing is really changing. We still need to know versus what we want to know. What's on top stays on top, what's on bottom stays on bottom. The couple things that we're going to be talking about in this video is one is something that we call conversions. Basically, conversions is this. I'm taking a unit of measurement and I'm changing it into a different unit of measurement, such as inches to feet, or maybe minutes to seconds, and so forth, okay? So we're going to be talking about that in this video. And also we're going to talk about, this is more of a Mr. Lewis term than it is an actual real thing at the moment in time, complex proportions. So what is that? Well, it's basically a proportion, but with more stuff to do, all right? That's really the best way I know how to describe it. It's actually easier to see what I mean more than trying to actually give you a real definition to a term that I actually made up. Just know this, it's a proportion and you've got a little extra steps to do to solve for the variable. All right, so let's just go ahead and do a few things. First off, I felt like we'll just go ahead and do a little bit of a warm-up here. Nothing really too terribly difficult. So why don't you try 1, 2, and 3 on your own and just basically solve those proportions. You know how to do it using cross multiplication and division, or AKA butterfly effect. So why don't you try that now? All right, so you should have gotten that. Nothing really complicated on that, just basic butterfly effect and all. So numbers 4, 5, and 6 are a little bit more difficult with, and I'll do just the first, I'll do all of these with you actually, just so you can see how to do them. It's giving you something where I have x plus 1 over 6 is equal to 8 over 16. And how do I go about doing this? Well, here's the simple truth. Use your butterfly. Do the exact same thing, all right? So I'm going to butterfly this first, and I'm going to get 16, and notice what I'm about to do here, times the expression x plus 1 is equal to 6 times 8 when we do that butterfly. Now, we're going to grab my calculator and we're going to work this out real quick. This one's pretty straightforward. 6 times 8. 6 times 8 is 48. So I put 48 down. But look at this one. This should be ringing bells in your brain right now that this is very familiar looking. I have seen this somewhere before. And you know what? It was probably about 2 chapters back when we were working with equations and we used the term distributive property. We can actually take this 16 and distribute it across the x and the 1. When I do, 16 times x is 16x. 16 times 1 is plus 16. Now, this is something that looks much more familiar to us. This is a basic equation that we can solve using SADMEP. So what do I need to get rid of first? I need to get rid of my addition, so I can subtract 16 on both sides. When I do, I get 16x is equal to 32. Now my next step is to get rid of my multiplication and division, so I can divide by 16 on both sides, and I get that x is equal to 2, and I am done. Now we can prove this to be true by plugging 2 back into the original equation. 2 plus x happens to be 3, and 3 divided by 6. Let's find out what 3 divided by 6 is. 3 divided by 6 gives me 0.5. Hey, that's 1/2. Guess what? 8 divided by 16 is also the same thing. So we're basically plugging this back in and proving this equation, this proportion is indeed true. All right, let's do 5 together. So we're going to cross multiply again. This is going to give me 7 times 27 is equal to 5.4 times 7x. So let's work this out. 7 times 27 gives me 189. Is equal to 5.4, and this is a 5.4, and I'm multiplying it by 7x. So I'm going to do 5.4 times 7, and I get 37.8, and that's going to be an x. Now, continue to do the same thing. I'm going to divide by 37.8 because I am trying to get x by itself. And so 189 divided by 37.8 gives me the number 5. So 5 is equal to x. And if I plug 5 back into this proportion, I will indeed find out they are proportional. Let's do the last one together. Same concept. I'm going to cross multiply and divide. This gives me 8 times y plus 2 is equal to 11 times 4. Let's simplify this by using the distributive property. This would be 8y times 8 times 2 is 16. So 8y plus 16 is equal to 44. Let's subtract 16 on both sides because we got to follow our SADMET rules. So 44 minus 16 gives me 28. So 8y is equal to 28. Now we're going to divide by 8 on both sides, and I get that y is equal to 3.5. And if I plug this back into my proportion and double check, I would indeed see that it works. All right, now let's go to number 7. I'm going to work all these out with you as well. So it says, write and solve a proportion to complete the statement. 42 inches is equal to blank centimeters. Okay, so what is happening here? So this is the one that I told you at the beginning of the video that we're going to be talking about called conversions. Conversions, the hardest thing about conversions is actually knowing what conversions to use. So let's go ahead and get something out real quick. I've given you this into your notes, and this represents all the possible conversion things that you'll ever need to possibly know. So for instance, you should know by this time in your life that 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. You should also know that 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. And you probably know this one, 1 mile is equal to 5,280 feet. That one, a little bit iffy, but it's one that you probably ought to know. So all of these are conversion factors. This is basically your go-to guide to change anything from one measurement to a different measurement. So this is what we call U.S. customary, which is what we use, of course, well, naturally in the U.S. And as some of you are already aware, I think we're like one of only maybe 2 or 3 countries now in the entire world that even uses these types of measurements. The rest of the world uses what we call metric, which you've probably experienced somewhere before. And then we have some other really important conversions where I convert an inch into centimeters. So notice that it gets kind of weird looking. Where it goes from 1 inch is approximately, that's what the squiggly, it's not an equal sign there, it's a little squiggly equal. It means that 1 inch is approximately 2.54 centimeters. And so that's what we can use to our conversions. So the other little thing I want you to know about this, the ones that I have starred on your paper are the most common things that you will probably see in your math career. All these other ones will pop up every so often, but these are the ones that you guys, I'm gonna be honest with you, you might as well go ahead and memorize it if you possibly can. There's I hate saying that because I'll be honest with you, the ones that I did not mark are the ones that I don't know, and the one I didn't know off the top of my head is this one right here because I haven't used it very often. This one I know, and the rest of them I know off the top of my head, but it's one of those things that it's just kind of good to know, all right? I'm just being truthful on that. If there's any way that you can kind of get these in your mind and kind of keep them, it's going to be very useful for you when you come into future testing and things. However, know this, that when we do testing in here about conversions and stuff like this, I'll let you use this reference sheet because I'm just being, I guess you can say I'm being honest about it and truthful. I think that it's a very good thing to have. All right, now with that said, how do we even use this reference sheet? So we're going to do this one first together. It says 42 inches and we are trying to convert it to centimeters. So how do we do that? Well, what do I know? Well, I know this. According to my reference sheet, 1 inch is about 2.5 centimeters. So I know that 1 inch is about 2.54 centimeters. I know that as a fact. What do I want to know? Well, I want to know that 42 inches is an unknown amount of centimeters. What did I do again? What's on top? Inches. Stays on top? Inches. What's on bottom? Centimeters. Stays on bottom? Centimeters. So what do I know? 1 inch is 2.5 centimeters. What do I want to know? I'm going to put wanna. I want to know how many 42 inches is. So now that I've set it up, let's cross multiply and divide. 1 times x is 1x. And we can just simply put x because there's no need for it. And then we can go 2.54 times 42. 2.54 times 42 gives me 106.68 centimeters. I'm done. Same thing with number 8. I'm trying to go from kilograms to pounds, 12.6 kilograms to pounds. So what do I know? Well, according to my reference sheet, I know, let's see if I can find kilograms and pounds. So I have inches, foot, mile, quart, gallon, cup, pound. There we go. I know that 1 pound is 0.45 kilograms. So I know that 1 pound is 0.45 kilograms. What do I want to know? Well, I want to know how many pounds is 12.6 kilograms. What's on top stays on top. What's on bottom stays on bottom. Now I do my cross multiplication. 1 times 12 is going to give me 12.6. 0.45 times x is going to give me 0.45x. Divide by 0.45 on both sides. Let's get our calculator. 12.6 divided by 0.45 and I get 28. So the answer to this would be 28 pounds, and I forgot to write this over here. So 28 pounds. Why don't you try number 9 on your own? Always ask yourself, what do you know versus what you want to know? What you should have got for number 9 is 84 grams. So 3 ounces is approximately 84 grams. All right, number 10. A cell phone company charges $5 for 250 text messages. How much does the company charge for 300 text messages? All right, so what do I know? I know that they charge $5 per 250 text messages. And I'll put M for MES. Messages. Can't spell messages. So $5 for messages. This is what I know. What do I want to know? Well, I need to know how much money, don't know what it is, because money's on top, stays on top, for messages. 300 messages, because messages are on bottom and they stay on bottom. What do I know? $5 for 250. What do I want to know? Now I just simply cross multiply and divide. 5 times 300 gives me 1,500 is equal to 250 times x. All right. Then I'm going to go 1,500 divide by 250 and I get 6. So we do divide that by both sides. I get 6 is equal to x. It's going to cost $6 to do 300 messages. All right, so again, this is just a repeat of things that you already know. What do you know versus what you want to know? What's on top stays on top. What's on bottom stays on bottom. And it just continues to repeat. All right, and that's it for this video. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.